Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the latest in the federal government's basically sneaky attempts to insinuate themselves into the election machinery, systems, and processes of state and local election officials, all we have to assume tied to potential efforts to do under a legal guise what Trump was unable to do illegally in 2020 and 2021. And indeed, these orders that are happening, Trump has just last week said that he has asked Bondi to look into in a social media post, the rigged and stolen election of 2020. So he is completely on that 100% bullshit mantra and is using it to make a lot of trouble. So what's going on is the Department of Justice is making all kinds of requests of various state and local election officials to see their rolls, to ask to see their software, to make sure it's secure. All of this is under the canard that there's widespread fraud when the reverse was demonstrated, including by Trump's own folks in 2020. The nightmare scenario is the somehow getting their mitts on state and local machinery, processes, and being able to cause all kinds of trouble as they did in 2021 with a tailwind of supposed legal evidence. All right, just to be clear, state and local officials run elections. The Constitution says so. State and local officials run elections. So all of this stuff is basically ultra vires. And it's just a kind of brazen request. Give us this, that, and the other. Now, there is a small kind of avenue for the federal government under the latest voter registration statute from the 90s, I think, to ensure that states have in place processes to trim their rolls, for example, of in unqualified voters. This is the, part of the total scam of the voting rolls are just filled with illegal non-citizens who come in and take things over. We have basically zero proof of that. You can count them on one hand, and it would be inane. You'd show up and present yourself. You wouldn't have the information, and you'd be attempting a felony, which is what it is to vote if you're not a citizen. So it is all, the pretext is exactly that. Now, what are they actually doing? They're going to state after state and saying, give us stuff. And sometimes just a brazen give us stuff. And in Colorado is one state where it seems to be working. There's a guy there who, and Colorado is a state Trump lost by 11. It's become sort of increasingly blue, but it's one of the states that the parties will fight over, not to mention the next fight will be at the congressional level, so sort of district by district. But there is a well-known consultant there who is going around saying, I'm working with the White House, going to county clerks and saying, will you let us examine your election equipment? Now, who knows how he's putting it or what false impression he's giving to state officials that they kind of sort of have to. And of course, once they do, it's a recipe for all kinds of trouble and phony or exaggerated claims by the feds who have come in and said they've seen this or that flaw. Colorado is an example where they've really made headway, but they're doing this in some 30 states, and the states have now sort of tried to get together and figure out what is going on and what can we do about it. There was a conference call a couple of days ago involving 30 plus states, 350 officials Democrats and Republicans, but what are they trying to do here? So, we right now it's basically preliminary or precatory. Could we look at all this stuff? States, of course, might do just that. Then you may see either brazen assertions just from the federal to the state level, or even legal efforts to say we get to see all this stuff, and hope for a panel of 3 Emile Beauvays who say, yes, you do, even though it's quite clear to whom the Constitution allocates primary responsibility to oversee any elections, federal and state. So right now what we have is the seeds of a very worrisome situation, just the seeds. But of course, they are watering them in certain states where officials are anxious. They see this as a possible overture to all kinds of trouble and litigation and the like, but some play ball. And what it really is for now, we'll see how far it goes on this voluntary track. Then if they're able to sort of push harder, but what it really is for now, given that the whole supposed justification is a load of crap, and the breadth of it and the entry or overtures to 30 plus states is a very tangible indication that this is a Project 25 Donald Trump special, that they are going to be doing more and more. I've said that we have to be vigilant about this more than we are with anything, because it really is the basis for the ultimate disaster scenario. And it's quite clear that the DOJ, under the orders of administrative officials and who knows who, is really laying the groundwork to try to make all kinds of mischief and undo an election. And as Trump said in 2021, just undo it and take it to Congress, and my Republicans in Congress will take care of it. That is the nightmare scenario that this report, which may otherwise go under the radar, but I am hyper vigilant about election stuff, possibly evokes. And it's worth really focusing on, especially now that we're talking the majority of states having received these requests, and some of them already starting to play ball. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.